Since grabbing a Push 3, I've really started carving out my own little workflow. I just love the way it responds to touch and feel, and despite all of its workstation features, this thing is really an incredibly playable instrument. Today we're going to be looking at Push 3's melodic capabilities as an instrument, take a glance at the step sequencer, and dive into the wonderful world of MPE. So let's jump in. Quick little setup spaghetti. I've got the Push 3 here. It's in standalone mode, and I've just got a couple of different melodic patches that I wanted to play with. First one is a wavetable patch, and the second one is just an arpeggiator. Then over on the digitone, I've got some drums, a pad, and some bass. So pretty simple. It's all being routed to the Model 12, which is handling my audio ins and outs. Pretty easy setup. Nothing super complicated. So the first thing I want to talk about is our layouts. When we open up our instrument, the first thing we get dropped into is this layout right here, which is 64 pads. So the first thing we notice is that not all of the pads are lit up. So there's a reason why all these pads aren't lit up, and that's because we have a scale selected, all right? So currently we're in C major. That means that the color of the track, which is pink, will be the root, which is C, and the other colors, which is white, will be the other notes in the scale. The grayed out pads are still playable, however, it's notes that aren't in the same scale as we have selected currently. The other color is green, and that just shows when the pad is playing, which is useful when you actually play back your sequences, which we'll see in a second. If we want to shift up in octaves, we just use our octave button. All right, pretty simple. Or we can hold shift and we can use our touch strip to go up in octaves. So that's our first layout. That's the default layout that we find ourselves in when we open up any instrument. It will just jump automatically to 64 notes, and we can just play as it is like that. So I want to look at the other layouts. If we hit the layout button, we can go across here to see sequencer. The way this sequencer works is you drop notes along the playhead, and depending on the resolution that you select with these timings, you'll see different states or different pages of the loop. All right? If we hold layout, we can see the different pages as it pages across. All right, so you can drop in all of these note data into your sequence, and using our hold on the layout button, go across with our loop lengths and select the different pages. So if I select a quarter, it's going to show me each section at a quarter timing. All right? And the higher you go up, the more loop layouts you have. The scale that we selected before is shown here with these grayed out pads, and this is our root note. We can page down with some octaves and page up to drop higher sequencer information in the higher notes. Alright, what I think is pretty cool about the push is that when we head over to our clip page, we can hold these notes and we can change our length, or we can throw them up in pitch. We can nudge them if we want to change the timing, like micro timing. There's definitely a lot of cool opportunities coming out of just using this as the sequencer. Alright, so if I put all of my instrumentation in, select random things. You know? So I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I just really think it's an interesting way to perform with, you know, melodies. It's not for every time you want to make a melody, but it can be a really interesting way to play with something like a pluck or a stab. So yeah, going through these different resolutions and playing around with our sequencer, just tapping different notes and knowing that they're all in scale at the same time is pretty cool. I actually really like this sequencer that we've got on the Push 3. So if we want to delete everything, we just hit delete and it deletes our entire clip. I'm going to head back to my little pad sound, and this time I'm going to hit layout again. This time I want to go to sequencer plus 32 notes. So this is my ultimate favorite one. I just like that you can play things in. Our octave buttons go up. All right. So we have the added effect of being able to put our notes into the sequencer as well. It works as well with the resolution. So if it's in 16th notes, all right, it's only going to go for a 16th note. We can hold layout and we can see our loop length is here. And then when we release, we've got our MPE pads again. So you can see we also have this added possibility of playing things in and using our record button, which I think is just really nice because we get this tangible instrument, but at the end of the day we can use our sequencer. I just love that we can design it how we want it to be. Like if we want to use the sequencer for what it is, we just do that. If we want to play and have this really tactile feel to our melodic instrument, we do that. It just leans itself to all these different ways of playing. Obviously, when you record it in, you get to see it in these other layouts. So, you know, that's pretty cool as well. So if you ever struggle, you can just press layout and have a look at what that recording in did, you know, and just get your head around it a little bit. Okay, so MPE has really made its mark on devices in the recent years, and anything with pads on it now pretty much has MPE capable pads. It sort of leans into the question of like, what is MPE and why is it so magical? So MPE data basically works on top of our already note on, off and velocity data that we get when we hit a pad. We've got 3 different types of data that come in with the MPE. We've got pressure, which is like aftertouch. So once the note data is triggered, when we push down on that pad, it sends more data as pressure, all right? We've got slide, which is the vertical, all right? And we've got horizontal, which is also called per note pitch bend, all right, which goes up and down. And all 3 of those together, when played like this, really add some really expressive elements that you can't get by playing keys with aftertouch. I love the fact that the push is like a little door in a box and that it does all of this really cool stuff. But at the end of the day, what I actually think makes it magic is the pads. It is being able to play it like a little instrument. And yeah, it really sort of blends this keys slash stringed instrument for me. Like having the ability to sort of do these slides and these movements subtly and sort of like vibrato like you would do on a guitar. It's really, really fun and really expressive, and it just adds that extra element that I was missing in my music. I'm just going to hit play and have a bit of a jam and see what comes out. Thanks for watching. Till next time.